Welcome to today's show. The technique I'll be showing you today is collage stamping. This is used to actually create your own pattern paper for all of your layouts. So let's get started. The stamps I'll be using today is the Paris collection by Darkroom Door. I'll also be using some distress ink with an ink blending tool and some archival ink in coffee and sepia. To start my project, I've already trimmed down my cardstock to the right size. I've also trimmed down the photo mat so it's ready to go, so I know where to do my collage stamping. So I'm just going to choose some stamps. The Paris collection from Darkroom Door actually includes quite a lot of stamps that are really suitable for the collage technique. I'm just going to be using various different ones from all of the stamp sets. When you're using larger stamps, it's really good to stick the stamp down first and then apply the ink to the top. This way you can actually see where the ink is and make sure that the whole thing is inked up. And this is just a little technique. I want to actually start with a soft layer. So I'm going to stamp off first and then stamp onto my cardstock. Stamping off and then just stamping onto the actual cardstock. So I'm just going to change stamps. Then I'll use the coffee ink pad. I'm just going to stamp straight onto the cardstock for this one. I just want the full ink coverage. And as you can see, I'm just randomly stamping this anywhere onto the cardstock. The trick is you don't want to think too much when you're doing this. You just want to grab your stamps and then whack them down. I'm just using two different colours. One of the tricks about actually creating an effective collage background is to not make it too busy, because the actual collage itself will be busy enough. So I'm just toning it down by just using two ink colours. This time it's just the sepia and the coffee archival ink. Now the reason I'm using an archival ink is because it's an oil-based ink pad which will retain all of the detail in the stamps. As you can see, I've used my photo mat just sitting onto the cardstock, so therefore I'm not stamping the collage background behind it. So I'm just using that as a guide. So I know that I'm going to be showing a little bit of the sides, so I'm just going to stamp a little bit down the sides so they're completely covered. As you can also see, there's quite a lot of great little small stamps in the Paris collection by Darkroom Door, and I'm just now going to add a few little of the smaller stamps that actually fill in any little holes that are existing here in your stamping. And while I'm using the Paris collection for, this, which is great for journey layouts or any sort of travel themed layouts, just remember that any stamping would actually work well with this technique. So you could use flowers or anything else. Doesn't matter what stamps you use. It's basically the same principle for, the whole technique. So now I have my completed background paper, and what I want to do now is just ink the edges just to tie it all in together. So I'm just using a little bit of brushed corduroy distress ink and just sponging the ink tool onto the ink pad, and then again starting from the outside on the non-stick craft sheet and just gently working your way in. And then just sponge that up. You can actually, cover the whole thing if you wanted to make it a real sort of distressed look. But if you just want a hint, just add it around the edges or wherever you'd like to go. So here it's all completed now with my distressed edges, and we're ready to attach that to the left side of the layout. Now what I'm going to do now is I've left this panel here ready for the journaling. So for the journaling, I'll be using the calendar stamp set by Darkroom Door, but what I'll be using is only the lines from the stamp set. So how I've cut that out is just the little line stamp, and what I'll be doing is just stamping it onto my extra little piece of cardstock. So I'll just set that aside for a moment. I'm just going to use the coffee ink pad and just inking that up, and then stamping the lines down. And there we have our little journaling block. And again, just to tie it in with the actual pattern paper piece that we've created, the collage stamping, I'm just going to ink up the edges here with the brushed corduroy ink pad. So I've completed my little journaling panel, so it's ready to adhere to your layout, and then you can write on all of your story. What I need to do now is just create the title. Now what I'm using is a product called Grunge Board. It's a paper-based board, and I'm just using the little alphabet ones. This is a product by Tim Holtz, and I've just taken out all the little letters and a couple of flourish pieces just to spell the word Paris. Now, as you can see, they're tiny little letters that, you know, when we actually sponge them up, they would be quite hard to keep still. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to place the letter straight onto the ink pad, and then using the ink blending tool, I'm then just going to rub the letter into the ink pad. So here you can see the completed title that is now stuck onto the layout. I've also done it to a couple of the flourishes just to actually add some interest up here to the journaling page. So this is a great way, if you don't have embellishments that actually work with your layouts, that you can create your own pattern paper that'll suit any layout of your choice. Thanks for watching. See you on the next show.
Scrapbook TV is now available on DVD. The best of Series 1 and 2 is yours to take home and enjoy, filled with easy-to-follow, step-by-step projects. On sale now at all leading craft and scrapbook stores.
Do you ever find wanting to punch in a particular part of a page, but your punch won't reach? Well, with the Fiskars Everywhere punch, it'll get you out of trouble every time. Now with this particular page, I want to punch right here in the middle, but with most punches it won't reach. With Fiskars Everywhere, all you need to do is put down your template of where you would want it to punch, and then you put down the magnetic base, and that will line it up for you. All you need to do now is put the top one on, punch it down, and there you have it, punched in the middle of the page. There's also an added feature with this punch. It has a grid, so if you wanted to punch a window card, all you need to do is lay it down next to your punched out shape, line it up with the grid and punch away. It'll be in line every time. The Everywhere punch comes in a range of designs, circles, squares and scallops to suit every project. The Everywhere punch is available at Spotlight and your local scrapbook store.
So I'm here in Australia actually doing an event called Mystified, where we have been traveling from Melbourne to Sydney and then off to Brisbane, and we're teaching how to use all of these amazing products. Now I'll tell you a little secret. Australian scrapbookers are very savvy. You don't even have to help them along with teachers' aids or whatever. Australian scrapbookers have always been very high level, very artistic, very savvy scrapbookers. So I love coming here and teaching. It's very cool to come with a brand new product, because even though Glimmer Mist has been here in Australia, the new mediums are just blowing everyone's mind. So it's very fun. I absolutely love coming to Sydney. This is my 5th time actually coming to Australia to teach in Melbourne, in Brisbane, and in Sydney. And at this point, I feel like we're all old friends in the scrapbooking industry, and I love that. So this time though, I come wearing a little bit different hat. I am here with Tattered Angels, and I'm both representing the Glimmer Mist and all of the new paint mediums, but not only that, I am representing my very own line of Heidi Swap Tattered Angels products. Now this stuff is hot off the press. It hasn't been anywhere, anytime. The Australians are seeing it for the very first time because, frankly, I'm here. So I want to show you a few things that I've brought to share and show and teach right here at SIA. Okay, so I'm gonna take and just Glimmer Mist right onto one of my new tags. I'm gonna show you the difference between the chalkboard paint and even say the Glimmer Mist, because you just get so much more of a saturation when you use the chalk. It's beautiful. So I can show you even just when I take a paper towel and I set it over the top. Watch. See how there's tons of absorption of Glimmer Mist on this side, but on this side there's like none because it's all totally saturated into the tag. And I end up with a really dark, beautiful, matte kind of a surface, but it still has the glimmer on it. You're gonna wanna look for the Tattered Angels tags and chips, chip tiles, and crepe ribbon, which is a big favorite. You're gonna wanna pick up your Glimmer Mist, your chalk, your glam, and your glaze, all at a scrapbook store near you. So get in there before it's all gone.
After the break, I'm going to show you how to turn ordinary double-sided tape into a glittery background. Today, let me introduce to you the Inspiration by Pazzles, the most versatile cutter on the market today. The Inspiration can cut, draw, engrave, emboss and needle pierce. Comes with a Windows-based program which is quite easy to use. Once you have the hang of the program, your inspiration is endless. Today I've cut some chipboard to use embellishments to mount on my scrapbook layout. The Inspiration can cut chipboard up to 2 mil thick. If you can't find any chipboard that thick, cereal box will do just fine. Placing your chipboard directly onto your mat, load your mat, as usual, into your machine. Here I have the words that I want to cut out in chipboard. Go straight to your cut project mode, select your media type. This time I'm selecting chipboard. Double check your pressure is correct and hit the word cut. Notice how nice and cleanly it is cutting the chipboard. Another versatile tip: when you want to cover your chipboard with paper, place the paper that you want to cut onto your mat and hit the repeat button. It'll automatically cut the identical shape so that you can place directly onto your chipboard once finished. Once it's finished, you're able to then glue directly onto your chipboard for a raised embellishment look. If you would like to purchase the Inspiration, please contact Addicted to Craft on the information below or via our comprehensive website. Thank you for watching and see you at our next show. Welcome back.
This is the project we're going to do today, and I've just used ordinary old double-sided tape here, and I've created my own background paper here. Lots of bling, lots of glitter. It's very special, appropriate for this photo of Darcy on her prom night. To start with, I've just got myself an ordinary piece of black basil, and I've got two different thicknesses of double-sided tape here, okay? One's a 6mm and one's a 3mm. Using your tape and using the lines on the cutting board, I just place it across and make sure it's straight, and I just adhere it to, I stick it to the board. It's the easiest way. I've just done that a couple of times, making quite a few stripes to really add that oomph of the background. Okay, so there you go, I finished, I put all my tape across, just neatly used my scissors and trimmed all the edges off. Then it's just an easy matter of peeling all those bits of tape off, which isn't always easy. Sometimes it is hard to get those ends up. Okay, with all the tape peeled off, just use some nice fine glitter. I've used black here, which is beautiful. I always keep my glitter in a little tub like this. I find it a lot easier to use. Just sprinkled some on. I've used my finger and just gently sort of massage it into those stripes. It helps it really stick and adhere, and you get this beautiful background. Just moving it all around. I've got a piece of scrap under me to capture all that leftover stuff so I can pour it back in. Then I just use a soft makeup brush to just brush that excess away. And there you have it. Beautiful, easy, glittery background paper that didn't cost you a fortune. And you can do whatever pattern you like. Love it. Okay, the next thing I did was I just added these little stripes here. I was walking around Alice and I found these cute little stickers, quite inexpensive. So I just used some of those to add that finishing touch to it. And stuck that to this side. And this one to this side. And because the photo's in the middle, you're not going to see that join. So it's a good way of making your things go further. So I did that top and bottom. Next up, I selected this photo here, and I've just double mounted it in different coloured blues. I chose blue to bring out the blue in the dress, since that really is the accent. I'll stick that down for you. Using a bit of removable tape. Always use removable tape when you're scrapbooking. It's so easy to pop your things up and down when you don't get them right the first time, which I'm sure happens to us all. I've just really made my own little nameplate. I've done that really easily using some chipboard, very inexpensive. I've just used this Tim Holtz die, used the Cuddle Bug, cut that out, nice and easy, and then just gave it a really quick coat of this silver paint, dabbed it on, dries a few minutes, love it, gives it a nice silver finish. Okay, and then for some extra interest, because I love detail in all my layouts, I just use these little Kaiser rub-ons, nice and easy. When I'm using a rub-on, I'll always cut out the section that I want to use, and I'll cut the backing paper out with it so I don't wreck the rest of the rub-on, so I can save them for another day. I really easily just place that on top here, and I use a little paddle pop stick and rub it on. Then we're doing my title. I wanted to have a nice shiny title. Okay, so really simply I just use some Kaiser letters, nice chipboard ones, and I just really simply used a bit of black paint, my water brush, and quickly gave them a coat of paint. I never worry about the edges when I'm doing it. I used to, and I find it's really not necessary. Sometimes the extra dimension of it being a little bit grey helps. Just painted that. Let it dry just for a bit, doesn't take very long at all. Love these paint brushes because you don't have to use a sink to wash them out, you can just do it on your work surface. Just using the nozzle it comes with, just squeeze a tiny bit onto it. And just work it around so you get it's a bit of a thick coating. And when that dries, it gives that beautiful shine, which it's really special. Just fully coat your letter. So that's it. So I just stuck those little letters down using a glue pen, and then I used this beautiful rainbow ribbon that I got from Alice to tie up the top. Love fabric or any type of ribbon on a project, as that's something special. Firstly, I just punched out this flower with some yellow cardstock and using a sponge daub and a little bit of ink, and I don't want a lot of ink, so often I'll use a bit of scrap paper and get some of that excess off there. Just gently sponge around the edges of your leaves. I always put a finger underneath to support it, otherwise you're going to find that you're going to wrinkle your page and wrinkle your flower. It's not going to look so great. So just go around your flower. And I find you don't need to add ink. I do often see people just using way too much ink and then it doesn't look pretty. You don't get that soft edge on it. Then to add some dimension to the flower, okay, then I just use a simple bone folder. You should all have one of those. And just pop that in the middle of the petal and then using your fingers, just fold it up around the bone folder. Nice simple technique, but gives it a lot of punch and it just changes a boring old punch flower into that something special. Finally, I just wanted to show you how we made this little rose here. It's lovely to make your own. It gives you a real sense of satisfaction when you've created them yourself. To start with, just start with a little simple punch circle. I've punched it. You could hand cut it if you don't have a circle punch. And then just using some nice sharp scissors, go around and don't stress over it. Just do a nice, easy snake-like pattern. Do a spiral. So just go around. I don't worry about it being overly even or overly circular. And using the first end, not the middle end, okay, using this end, just start to twirl it gently round that toothpick. The toothpick just helps you to start it off a bit. So just going round and round. Once you've started it, you don't need to do that. And just twirl that around, all the way around until you've reached the end. Okay, when you get that to the end, just put a tiny little dab of glue on there. You don't need a lot. And press it down. Then I usually find I do have to sit there and just hold it for a minute or two for that glue to dry. Okay, and that's it pretty much. It's not quite dry yet, but I can still show you the final tip. As with roses, the petals are always curled over a little bit. And when I find it easy, just to use a knife very gently. You don't want to cut yourself. And you can just curl those petals over with holding the knife against it. The rest of the flowers are all much the same technique, just sponging around the edges, a little bit of dimension to them. And I just cut some leaves out of black cardstock to finish it off and added loads and loads of gemstones. That's it for today. To finish off, I've just used this journaling tag with a bit of handwritten journaling finishing it off. That's it. So I hope you've enjoyed today. I've shown you a very simple technique using double-sided tape to add a really glittery page. Thanks for watching. See you next time.